Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A very encouraging opinion poll came out stating that half of Americans believe that the media intentionally misleads them. And as I always say, be skeptical, especially with this kind of outlets that pretend to tell you exactly how things are, and they actually they don't really lie, but they lie by omission. So they give you only one side and they hide other ones, and then they form a narrative. So they have the narrative already, and they bring evidence to support the narrative and discard everything that would oppose that and would change the narrative. That's basically what it is. They don't really lie by not telling you, and telling you only what fits the narrative. So that's surprising, but not surprising. It is surprising, but as you know, in opinion polls, when people respond to these questionnaires or questions, if they do not give their names, they tend to be more honest, obviously, because we like to belong and we don't like to be stigmatized, socially stigmatized, or simply because of Solomon Asch experiment, if you were familiar with that, the peer pressure, that you will want to belong to the group, so you will do whatever you feel the majority or the narrative is. I'm surprised to a certain extent, and that reminds me of how these opinion polls during the elections of Donald Trump, they were so wrong or off. It's because when some of them conducted opinion polls face to face, or knowing who you are, people tend to switch their answers because of being afraid of being labeled this and that. But when they went over there and alone with the little voting, the little thing, they voted however they wanted to vote. So let's get going with this article coming from Sputnik. It is from yesterday, and it says, poll: half of Americans believe the media intentionally misleads them. It says, trust in the fourth estate has been dropping among Americans since the poll started in 2017. A survey released by Gallup and Knight Foundation on Wednesday has revealed that 50% of Americans disagree with the statement that, and I'm quoting, news organizations do not intend to mislead them. By comparison, only 25% agreed with the statement. So 25% of the ones that answered the survey, they believe that the news media, the news organization do not intend to mislead. No, slightly more, 52% said they do not believe the national news cares about what is in the best interests of their audience. That means they promote certain kind of news and not the ones that really the public should be interested. Like, for instance, in the crossing of the border, inflation, our commanders-in-chief, ability to do his job, and so on. More Democrats trust the national news compared to Republicans, which has been a consistent trend since the Knight Foundation started the survey in 2017. However, even among Democrats, the trust level is lower than it has been in previous years. Only 45% of Democrats say they have an overall favorable view of the United States media, compared to 54% who said the same in 2017. So it's a big drop of about 10%. Independents have seen the sharpest increase during the same time frame, with 66% of them saying they hold an unfavorable view of the media, compared to only 16%, 1/6, who say they have a favorable view. In 2017, 48% of independents had an unfavorable view of the media. Across all three political categories, The number of Americans holding a favorable view of the media is the lowest, and it has been since at least when the survey began. Conversely, those holding an unfavorable view is the highest it has ever been. The overwhelming majority of Americans, including Democrats and independents, believe there is a political bias in news reporting, with 83% of Democrats and 94% of Republicans saying they see either, and I'm quoting, a great deal or a, and I'm quoting, fair amount of political bias. So they see a bias, 94 Republicans, 83 Democrats. Americans also don't believe a lack of resources is the root cause of their unfavorable views of the media. Nearly three-fourths, 72%, believe that most national news outlets have the resources they need to accurately and fairly report the news, but only 35% believe the outlets can be relied on to deliver the information people need. Local media fared better, with 52% of Americans believing they can be relied on to provide the news their audience needs. The distrust of the national media reflects distrust in the government. 73% of Americans say that while we live in a democracy, and I'm quoting, a few people will always run things anyway, end quote. And 57% believe the people who, and I'm quoting, really run the country are not known to voters. 57%. So how can you have a country like this? And when they say the system works, does it work? Last year, multiple outlets, including CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others, finally but quietly admitted the infamous Hunter Biden laptop, blah, blah, blah. It's not only that, but most of the mainstream media ignored and disparaged the story. That's with Hunter Biden and Russia. Obviously, they do their own thing here. The Knight Foundation study looks at trends of who mistrusts the media the most and attempts to figure out why. They suggest that journalists, and I'm quoting, go beyond emphasizing their transparency and accuracy, end quote, and show their audience they care about their audience and how their reporting affects society. But with the majority of Americans saying they cannot trust official government sources, perhaps the mainstream media should look within the question how viable it is to continually parrot government sources that the majority of their audience believes have no credibility. Remember, this one was a little bit of propaganda here in the conclusion, just so we are not so tards. So, that is encouraging, but also is depressing. First, it's depressing because so many people really don't fall for it. And the other one is how people don't get engaged in anything. I mean, let's say you are married or you are in a relationship and you think, let's say 80%, or what was that, between 90 some percent, let me read here again, that was unbelievable, that little piece of thing. It says bias. Believe that there is a political bias in the news, with 83% of Democrats and 94% of Republicans. They either see a great deal or a fair amount of political bias. So that means, let's say, substitute that bias with your wife cheating on you or your husband cheating on you. You have 90% you're certain that she does, or you kind of, or whatever. You still, or the girlfriend or whatever, your partner, put it mildly. Would you still stand with that? What are you going to do? You're going to do something about it. Here these guys still go to work, still go and watch TV, drink their beer, do whatever they do, go and vote, and that's it. This kind of passivity, that's why I laugh when I say the land of the brave, or whatever, the land of the free, land of the brave, and whatever, the free, for me is so pathetic. And I'll tell you why. Because if you take us from now and compare us with, let's say, the American citizens from, let's say, 1860, United States of America, I think, where we are like weasels. That's what I think we are. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, remember, in those days, a child was not waiting to get to be 21 or 18 to be considered an adult, or be 21 in order to be allowed to, I don't know, smoke or drink, or you can be in the military at 18, by the way. So anyway, you know what I mean? People would mature earlier. I remember when I read a book on Admiral Nelson. Yeah, that British English admiral. Remember the one without a hand? All right, well, I read about him, I don't know how long ago, but I know that he was, I don't know, like 16 or 15, 16 when he was in charge of a crew on a ship. Now, I have children, I've seen children, I worked with children, I studied children, study not like a creepy study, but I'm talking about books and lecture and all that, you know what I mean? So I kind of know what's going on with current teen population. And believe me, what we have right now, these are, I can't even, they're very, very immature, very immature. And it seems like the society wants them to be like that. And sexualized, very sexualized. That's why menstruation in girls dropped from, I don't know, like 15, 16 to 11, 12, 13. It just dropped. Sexualization, premature. Exposure to certain, even cartoons and advertisements and role models. But anyway, don't go into that. I'm just saying that my surprise is, you know, and what do you do about it? You still work within the same system. How can you improve the system? That's my energy, my desire. You call your representative, he's a weasel. I think a lot of things should be changed, tweaked about this democratic system that we have with elected officials, with the finance, with the campaign financing. That's a racket over there. And it's all legal and nice. So things could be changed. With the two-party system, it's another thing that is like, But how can you make more than two parties? Changing a culture. I mean, I spoke with so many intellectuals here in this country and talking about the two-party system and pointing out that, hey, you have only two options, which actually are one. You don't have any other, is there no other ideologies, other nuances, anything like that? And this was most of the answers I received were a fallacy. It was a historical fallacy, saying we always did it like this and it worked, so we're going to keep doing it. So that means we don't even bother to do it. We're the best, we know what we're doing, and we survived. Okay, well, stay then in your little box over there and continue and see where that gets you. Not to a very good end, since you had Biden as a president, you had Trump as a president, you had Obama as a president, you had Bush the second as a president, you had what's his name, Clinton the president. You had all these guys, just to mention a few, the presidents, and you tell me we're doing just fine? Well, that means that's your expectation of a leader of a country, or a guy who should, I don't even want to keep going with this because I think you got the idea. So we're going down and down and down and down. Maybe we'll have the next time, as I always say, a guy in coma, being clinical coma over there, or brain dead, right there, elected. Why? Because he's whatever, a victim, or he's cute, or she's a victim, or she belongs to a group or something like that, and let's vote for that. Well, is that a popularity contest? Yes. There's democracy, a popularity contest. If I can be, and I have, as they say, charisma, I make you vote for me, fool you. And when I get over there, I put my friends in charge, forget about you, I look at the people who really supported me legally, then that's the way it is, popularity contest. And what do you expect? The people who look the great. Remember Socrates? Actually, it's Plato, talking about that example about who do you want to be in charge of a ship in the middle of a storm? The most popular guy, or the guy who really knows how to maneuver and to take care of a ship? Which one? you know, ugly and hunchback and old, bow-legged, bald-headed, fat, you know, with a... Is that what you want? Or you want a model doesn't even know what to do with this? What is this? Do I stick it in my ass? That was a good joke, everybody. Yeah, man. Is that what you want? You want the other one. That's how is a country. The country is the boat. And you need someone who knows what the hell to do. Not a guy who would be... Yeah, when you go to a doctor, you go to a doctor because he's handsome or because the doctor knows. I know people who go because the doctor is handsome. I met those kind of people. I was like, go ahead. It's about your health, not mine. So yeah, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.